Hello. I literally just ran and sat in my chair. I looked at my watch. I was like, oh, it's 10:30. Oh, no. Hi. Happy tarot play date. I'm only like a few sips of coffee in for today so far, so we're going to see how we do here. But let me give a big welcome to the 33 people that are already in here and waiting and ready to get started. So we have Tiny Dancer in here. Hello, hoping for the Strength card. We have not seen that yet. Shane, good morning, my beautiful son. Becca, hello. Elle, hello, my beautiful daughter. Sandra, Elizabeth, Jackie, my other daughter's mom, or my daughter's other mom. That's the mom. You're the mom, Jackie. Let's see. Who else do we have in here? Jilly, my sister. Hello, darling. We have Christina, Val, Aquarius Owl. Let's see. Keeping scrolling. Rose Coleman, good morning. Is this your first live here? If so, welcome. I hope you enjoy it. And my chat just jumped like all the way to the, why does it do that? Why? Why does it do that? All right, so I'm back up where I was here saying hi to Rose Coleman. Oh, a live chat again, so maybe you've been here before. White Tree Tarot. Christina, did I say hi to you? I don't know how Simon remembers this when he has like 100 people in chat. So Donna's here. Hi. Jen, Science to Soul. Good, very early morning to you. Vicky's here from New Mexico. Patrice, hello, hello. I'm waiting to see what card predictions we might have in the chat here. Hi, Simon. Beth. Let's see. Jamie's here. Susie. Loracle Tarot. That's a new name. I haven't heard that one before. Is this your first time here? Maharet. Kimberly. I think I said hi to Patrice. Scrolling. Bastard's here. Wait, it just jumped again when I saw new people. Robin is here. Brant is here. Hi, Sean and Corvin. Hello. Corvin's new changed their channel name to Tail Raven Tarot. So, but that's our beloved Corvin Green. Wiccan222. Hello. Oh my gosh, you guys, there's so many people here. Did I make it to the bottom? Okay, my chat jumped a bunch. So if I missed anyone, oh, Naomi, hello. If I missed anyone, I'm so happy to have you here. Barely Balanced Tarot. Chris Yao here, new channel name. Well, welcome, because it seems like we have related channel names. I'm all about the balance, so nice to see you. Barely Balanced, that's really cute. Okay, last week, actually the last 2 weeks, maybe even longer than that, we've had some challenging cards come up. We had the ever challenging Ten of Swords come up for us last week. I do have to say the Tarot Playdate Facebook group was fairly quiet this last week. Not so many people excited to jump in and embrace the energy of this card. I don't think I saw anybody post the activities. I'm not excluding myself from this, just so you know. But I did see some alternative cards come up, which was still really fun to see. One of these days, you guys are going to get so spammed in the Facebook group if you're in there with me going back and doing all of these activities. I keep promising it, but I'm a procrastinator because I'm a Libra, and that's what we do. But did anybody have this card show up for them in any kind of particular way? I think it did show up in one of my readings this week. I don't recall it being anything catastrophic. I think it was definitely more endings related and maybe some warnings throughout the week, but I don't know about anybody else. Let's see. I'm going to catch it. So Simon said Friday was his Ten of Swords. You had a day on Friday at work, didn't you, Simon? I think we're all probably, oh, yes, Jen, did you have a Ten of Swords week or day as well, Jackie? Beth procrastinated as well. You know, there are days that we do that, but I have a 3-day weekend this weekend. I actually have tomorrow off because it's the Memorial Day holiday, banking holiday. I think it's a banking holiday in the UK tomorrow as well, isn't it? So this extra day, I think, is going to be really, really nice. Plus, I have to prepare for Tarot-thon that is next week, starting on Sunday. For those of you, I'm going to talk about it again at the end. Sorry, I have like hair in my lipstick. There you go. But for those of you who don't know about it, 24 hours of tarot channels, an hour each, hosted by our dear Simon at the Hermit's Cave. Starts at 10 a.m. UK time on Sunday, which is 2 a.m. my time, Pacific time here in Seattle. And it goes for 24 hours. And I'll be right smack dab in the middle of that at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. UK time. Well, I guess 2/3 of the way through, something like that. So I'm really looking forward to that. But tomorrow is prep day for that. Let's see. Jamie said it was a pull your head out kind of week. Oh, Corbin said, my back really hurt this week. Maybe that was the 10 of Swords. Like literally a pain in your back. I'm so sorry. I hope it's feeling better now. Let's see. Yes, you have a day off tomorrow for those of you who forgot. All right, shall we? For anybody, I don't know if anybody else has joined us. I don't think there's anybody that I missed yet, but shall we gather our questions for our card this week? Sean's got his coffee ready. Hello, Doug. Jilly had a 10 of Swords day on Thursday. I think a few of us were manifesting this card last week. Let's just let's just say that we were. But I know we're ready to move on. Not going to promise a fluffy card because if I do that, you know, that's not going to happen. So let's find out what the tarot needs us to hear this week. But as always, I like to gather, and Bastet's right on it, 5 questions that we'll use to answer throughout the course of Playdate. If you can put them on all caps for me, like Bastet has so clearly, so kindly demonstrated here, I'll gather this list, and we'll see what we get. Okay, so what cycle do we need to end? What needs to change? So Bastet, what cycle do we need to change? What needs to end? Can you guys believe this is our 25th Playdate? What needs to end? Is there anybody here who's been here for every single Playdate? I think I know a couple, but if you want to just give yourselves a little pat on the back and hear a big thank you from me for being here every week, that is, I could not do it without you all. Elsa sought it. Bring on the tower. And then Corbin wants a nice card. I'm with you, Corbin. I want a nice card. Simon says, how can we achieve full joy this week? See, he's trying to stack the deck for us right there, right? By asking that kind of question. How can we achieve full joy this week? I would love for this to be just a joy-filled week. I'm ready for it. I don't know about the rest, y'all. Let's see. Oh, Sandra missed 1. Jamie's missed 2. But still, like, you guys have been to almost all of them. Elle says, where have I allowed an excess of emotional baggage in my life? Oh, Elle's going hardcore on us this week. All right. Where have I / we allowed an excess of emotional baggage this week? This is quite a compilation of questions we have already. Okay, so I have 3 so far. Did I miss any? Does anybody else? I need 2 more questions. Oh, wait, I got one from Robin. Elle's been here for every single one. Elizabeth's been here for every single one. Jilly's only missed 1. Maharet's been here for everyone. You all are awesome. Hi, Lottie. Nice to see you. Of course, Al's been here for everyone. That's really awesome. Hi, Selkie. Thanks for humoring me with that question. I want to give you your due credit for hanging in there with me. All right, Robin, how can I best communicate my true intentions? I/we best communicate. That's a great question, actually. Not actually like I'm surprised you asked a great question, but I just am reinforcing that I think it's a great question. I realize I need to be careful with that word sometimes. My true intentions. Okay, I have 4 questions. Ella's just trying for a hard card. Yes, she is. Shane, you're on it. Jen Signs to Soul is calling the tower. Let's see. Lori, did I say hi to you, Lori? Okay. Beth says, I've only been to a few, but I plan to go back and watch all of them. Oh, there's some really good ones in there. I apologize about, I think, the world card. I had a really bad cold. So if you don't make it through that one, I won't blame you. So Simon made it to all, but there was one where he's 20 minutes behind. But then you sped up and caught up. I remember. I need one more question. Ooh, Barely Balanced has got one for me. What has the world learned from a period of social isolation? What? Oh, wait. Barely Balanced. What has the world learned? And that's our last question. From a period of social isolation. Okay, so as we start studying our card, okay, wait, I'll read these questions first and then I'll start yammering at you. Okay, so first question from Bastet this week. What cycle do we need to change? What needs to end? From Simon, we have, how can we achieve full joy this week? From Elle, where have I or we allowed an excess of emotional baggage this week? Okay, just in this last week. Then Robin, how can we best communicate our true intentions? And from Barely Balanced, what has the world learned from a period of social isolation? That is a list of questions, my friends. Oh my goodness. All right, so anybody else who's come in while I was writing those down, hello. All right, Corbin's gonna be scanning the Spacious Tarot for journal work. That sounds fun. Hi, Lucian. Nice to see you. All right. So what was I going to say? I was going to tell you guys something while I was shuffling about, yeah, I'm going to drink some coffee too. And then we're going to shuffle because I forget what I was going to say to you. It'll come to me. It will come to me. All right. What cycles do we need to change? What needs to end? How can we achieve full joy this week? Where have we allowed an excess of emotional baggage this week? How can we best communicate our true intentions? And what has the world learned from a period of social isolation? And I also remembered what I wanted to say. So I try to keep a really good eye on the chat, as obviously we're talking about these cards and your comments are ever so important. But if I miss one, please don't hesitate to put it in all caps or to tag me at Jen's Balanced Tarot if your device will let you do that, so that I don't miss it if you really want to make sure I don't miss a point. And a lot of times the mods are really great at highlighting those as well for me. So thank you all in advance for your help. Simon's hoping for the fun. What do we need to change? What cycles do we need to change? What needs to end? How can we achieve full joy this week? Where have we allowed an excess of emotional baggage? How can we best communicate our intentions? And what has the world learned from a period of social isolation? Yep, next week it will be Tarot-thon. I talked about that right before you came in, Silky, and I will remind folks again at the end of this as well. All right, are you ready? Well, all right. We're going to get through this sword suit first, quite clearly. But, you know, after the 10 of Swords, what do you think about this? I'm okay with this. Let me just tell you. I'm actually okay with this card. I know, Swords again. I am a Libra. I'm an air sign. I'm shuffling. But the swords do not come up in my everyday life, in my everyday readings, the way that they do in Tarot Playdate. So I'm not sure we can blame me for this. Jilly immediately says respite or respite, right? Respite? Is that the right way to say this? Simon says, I love this card. See, me too. I'm actually really happy to see this card. Val says social isolation. Shane is smiling at swords because I know it's his favorite suit. Elizabeth's laughing, probably at like, well, of course it's another sword. I mean, my little thumbnails in my Tarot Playdate playlist, they're just not diverse enough for me right now. Shane says, swords are my jam. Yep, we are having a run, aren't we, Bastet? So we're all dead. Great, says Tiny Dancer. I mean, we're not dead. We're resting. This is like the Snow White kind of dead, right? Becca says a rest sounds good. See, I'm with you, Becca. Science to Soul Jen says, yep, I'm good with this. Val loves this card. Simon's like, yep, it's time to take it easy, folks. Of course, more swords comes in 3. So right, 9, 10, and 4. I'd much rather get the 4 now, though. I feel Elsa's rest. Thank life for that. We are going to run out of swords soon enough. Jilly says, I'm down for the break. Corvin says, we are in a Gemini moon, an air moon, so this makes sense. Yes, it does. Robin says, I might have to sleep on this. Being clever. Let's see. Did Jonathan come in? Oh, hi, Jonathan. Nice to see you. And Wendy's here. Take time out to recharge batteries and get back up when rested. Yes. Elizabeth says, reflection, mental restoration, vacation. Simon, aren't you on holiday this week? So this is a great card. And I was just talking about right before I shuffled this, how we all have, like, here in the US and I think in the UK, it's a holiday tomorrow, so that we all have an extra day this weekend for a little extra rest, right? Selkie says rest, then the 4 of Swords will balance. Yes, see, we'll find that balance. Hi, Carmen. Reflection, says Carmen. So we're starting to get kind of already those instant impressions. Elle says healing, recovery, relaxation. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Yes, let's please have some of this. We need to find our own pace before moving forward. Plan, says Simon. Yes. Barely Balance says it's everyone sleeping in tomorrow. Prayer and meditation, says Beth. Tiny Dancer says 4 is the 3 in motion. Thus the message of the card, chill, kill it. I feel like I'm missing something there. Stop and reflect, says Lucian. Hi, Mendy. Nice to see you. Oh, we just pulled the card. You're not even hardly late. I managed to pontificate for a while here. Sleeping it off, says Christina. Did anybody party hard last night? And this is the hangover card for you by any chance? Elle says your mental energy has drained your physical energy. Time out, says Wiccan. Yep, another sword, Mendy. Welcome to the party. Would you consider swords intellect? Absolutely, Susie, I would. Anybody else here? But yes, I often think of these as being about thoughts and intellect and logic and reason, all those things. Psychically Yours just got here in the car. Well, welcome. Drive safe, please. 4 is an illusion, only the 3 in motion, says Tiny Dancer. Wendy says, put your sword down for a while. The sword is down the side of what he is resting on, right here, right? So lay down your sword. Jonathan, when knights went to war and survived, they would spend their first night back sleeping in their tomb to give thanks for not dying and be able to get up and leave the tomb. Ooh, I love that. So taking that moment to actually be grateful, right, for life in general. Lucian says, I see this card as taking a moment to slow down, look at the world moving fast around you, given the ability to see the current situation at a different perspective. Retreat to a quiet place, says Elizabeth. Wendy says, quiet your mind chatter for a while. Yes. Oh, good. Psychically Yours is not driving. I was wondering what you meant by not syncing, but I'm guessing that's an autocorrect situation. Jackie says, take a reality check. Simon, once you have found clarity of mind, swords, and stabilized 4, you then need to focus on where to go next. So that kind of comes into what you were saying earlier about planning. Naomi, allow things to happen rather than trying to control events, right? So letting back, just recognizing that things are going to go the way that they are, that we're going to get another Swords and Play date. Let's just allow it to happen, embrace it, move forward. Barely Balanced says, I always get a sense of, I'm going to let my sword rest. I see the sword beneath the figure as a sleeping sword. Above are other concerts or conflicts, but the figure and his sword are resting, right? So these swords may be representing other things that are going on. Elle says 4 represents stability, security, solid foundation, rigid, predictable, organized, boredom, attainment, immobile. All those words. So that is good stuff. Psychic Leers, I see it as advice to give your mind a rest, and the answer will come when your mind is quiet or in my dreams. Let's see. Jen says, well, shit, Simon, clear, stable planning. I think this card just became my nightmare card. This card is just for you, Jen. Mendy says, might have already been said, but find some focus and you may find you have resources you didn't know about, the sword below, right? So maybe it's, you know, laying here and not realizing that you do have more to power you through. Essence 818, hello. If I didn't say hello already, Order, Emperor, Balance, Temperance, Stabilize 4, Thoughts and Swords, right? So the 4 in the is being the Emperor card, and then the 1 in the 14 for Temperance. Where does the Temperance come in numerologically? What am I missing there? I'm missing something. I'm always ready for symbols, Simon, but why don't I pull this up and let everybody take a look at everything we have in the card, and then we will bring out our handy dandy ultimate guide to the Rider-Waite-Smith. All right, I gotta make sure, sorry, my chat window is covering this up a little bit and I can't, there we go. Now I can see what you see. All right, here we go. I've never looked very closely at that stained glass window. That's maybe some stuff to dive in there, huh? With our prayer or meditation hands, our sword down below. Yeah, another sword. We're kind of famous for it here at Tarot Playdate, I think. All right, bring on those symbols, Simon. What symbol grabs your eye? Like when you see this card before Simon starts reading these off, what grabs your attention first off when you saw this card today? I would say in general, but actually today, what first grabbed your attention? Tiny Dancer said the rest between rejection. Oops, let me do this. It's way easier when I do this with my hands. Preparing for the future, said Jackie. Tiny Dancer said rejection and total defeat. Susie said sort of a laying down meditation pose. Carmen taking a step back to meditate and rejuvenate. What about the window, right? The stained glass window. Lost myself. All right, Simon's bringing us some information on the window. The contrast between inner and outer issues, the abstract world and daily life, perfect ideals and limited reality. Which is interesting too, because then psychically yours said stained glass is subconscious, right? So I think those really go well together. Hello, Raven Morning Glory. Selkie says this reminds me of the Tempest Nights. Eventually we will run out of swords. It's quite true. They have dominated Tarot Playdate. That is for sure. Jackie said, looking at your fears in the cold light of day. Ooh, interesting. Robin said, Pax in the window means peace. Sandra said, so when I asked, I'm getting caught up in chat here, what grabbed your attention first? Sandra said the stained glass window. Becca said the hands. I feel like the hands really grabbed my attention today too. I think I'm with you on that, Becca. Elizabeth, the Four of Swords may also be advising you to seek counsel to go to an expert for advice. Oh, that's interesting. Simon has more thoughts on the window here. Positive, insight and understanding. Negative meanings could be the world remains outside. Susie says it looks like a coffin to me. A lot of people see that. And I would see that too. I think, honestly, in my very earliest days of learning the tarot, when I first saw this card, you know, it did. It looked like somebody was dead. I'm not going to lie. That's what I thought. Jonathan noticed today the stained glass window. Naomi noticed the rest. Selkie noticed the Roman numeral 4. Now, that's interesting that you focused on the number. I don't do that often, but that's interesting that grabbed your attention. Lottie says this card could represent the pause before you take another breath in. L, the window is a figment of one's imagination. The real world remains outside, right? And that's kind of like that negative interpretation that Simon was presenting earlier. Very interesting. Let's see here. Those bats, wait, those are bats, not ravens? In here? Are there bats in here and I didn't even notice? I don't see bats. I don't know. Maybe Lucian's talking about something else. Simon said, Pax in the window. Okay, where's Pax? Why am I? Oh, it wasn't for me. Thank you, Shane. Focus. Come on. When I really want to look for something. There we go. What is Pax? P-A-X. What am I missing? Help me, Playdaters. All right. Oh, Susie, you're a newbie. You're a newbie here. We've got lots of us. He looks like he's praying, says Carmen. Jonathan said it's a knight's tomb, so yes, it's a coffin. Oh gosh. All right. Chat is scrolling. You guys are probably trying to help me, and I can't even see it. Rose noticed the hands first. Aquarius Allen said sarcophagus. Elle said, I noticed the weird stick thing with the little lion head. The weird stick thing with the little lion head. The weird stick thing. Where's the lion head? What is happening? Do I need to get my glasses? Like, what is happening right now? I also need to move my chat. There we go. I'm having a hard time seeing my chat today. Sue says, it reminds me of playing possum, i.e. pretending to be in the death state. Jackie says he looks relaxed, relieved at the time to himself. That's the first thing I kind of identified with. Barely balanced, it's not a stone coffin. I always thought this was like a tomb and the man was a stone sculpture on top of the stone coffin lid. Simon's bringing the color yellow to us here. So the color yellow and black merged represents sun and the shadow. So all of that yellow in here. Consciousness that has connections with depths, also lack of total clarity. Pax means peace, is Selkie. Oh, Pax is in the halo on the left. Oh, there it is. Thank you. Okay, so right there. I still don't see it. I might have to work on it. Is it up in here? Pax. Anyway, top left corner. It just looks like stained glass design to me. But I trust you guys 1000%. So above the tall one said, everybody's like, it's there, Jen. I'm still trying to find this weird stick thing with the lion's head out. You and me both, Jen. Kristen, hello. Brenda, hello. Night of past before battle would build their coffin, and if they returned alive, they would lie in the coffin to reflect on their life. Yeah, and that's really similar to what Jonathan was saying earlier, too. I just didn't know any of that about this card, so that's really cool. Robin asked, is the yellow figure a statue or a resting live figure bathed in yellow light? Or is there a live person inside? That's what I'm thinking. I do need my glasses, clearly. Elle said, or am I just imagining it? It might be the frame, but the thing on the end looks like a little lion's head. Right here, is this what you mean? Here, Elle? All right. Thank you. Thank you, Lucian. Let's see. Jilly said, in medieval times, churches were places of sanctuary. No one could be arrested, dragged to the tower or scaffold. It is hard to see. Pax and Lux often found together. I'm going to do some research. Like when I go back and watch this, I'm going to be doing some research on this for sure and giving it a good old, I don't want to take up your whole time me trying to see one little thing in the card, but I really appreciate you pointing it out to me. Jilly said, I think in modern times, in some cultures, it's the same now. Pax and Lux, is that what you mean, Jilly, or something different? Oh, am I missing something that Mindy is saying? No, you're not on timeout, Mindy. Did I miss something that you said? Oh, it's the line down beside the window frame. There she said. Oh, she said it a couple times. I just missed it. That happens to people sometimes. It's line down the side of the window frame. There's a lot to look at in that little stained glass window. I'm going to spend some time with that later. I'm going to get to know this real well because I think it's got a lot going on there. Sorry if I missed you, Minnie. I do that to people sometimes. I just start scanning over them. It's really terrible. It's my fault. Essen says, I think Ella's referring to the figure at the bottom right of the window pane. This one here? Wait, bottom right. It's flipped when I look at it in my camera. So Jelly said church is a sanctuary. What does the sword below indicate? So somebody earlier said, you know, it could be representing a resource that you don't know you have. Or laying down your sword were some other things that we had. Does anybody else have any thoughts about the sword down below here? Or does the book say anything, Simon? Let's see, there's a lot in the stained glass. Yes, there is, Sandra. Elle did not block Mindy, we've decided. Essence says the stained glass window has been referenced as a similar depiction in the Six of Pentacles. In the 6 or the 5? Interesting. Oh, okay. I didn't miss it. Well, I did kind of miss it. So I did go back and find your stuff. All right. So does anybody else have any last minute meanings before we start diving into alternate cards and answering our questions? You cannot beat the 5th sword. All right. I'm just checking to make sure I didn't miss anything else. Elle probably deserves the blame for something today. It's fine. All right. So let's see. Simon had something for me here. The single swords represent thoughts that have been worked through. These ones up here or this one down here. The S at the end of sword. So the single swords or the single sword. The sword on the tomb is the Ace of Swords, says Jonathan. Yeah, it's every time I see this card, this happens to me with every play date though. And so it sounds like I know nothing about the tarot, and you probably all are thinking like, why is she leading this chat? But it's, I know these meanings, but being able to dive into all the little nuances of it always teaches me something new. And I just can't thank you guys enough for it, because it is a lot of fun, which is why it's a play date. But okay, the one below represents the thoughts that have been worked through. I like that, but still some work to do, eh? We have a little bit further to go in the sword suit, don't we? All right, let's get our first alternative card. So as I do every week, for anybody who might be new here, before Playdate, I randomly draw from a random name generator on my phone 5 decks from my RWS themed collection, so that we can look at different versions of this card and use them to answer our questions for the week. So this week, the first one is a really interesting deck that I actually still have yet to work with, but also have not migrated out of my collection. And that is the Tarot of the 78 Doors. And what makes this deck kind of unique is that in every card, there's some kind of a doorway pictured, which I think is kind of interesting. Right now I have to do that thing where I try not to make a mess and keep track of my questions. So these are the backs. I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of the backs, but hi, Gracia. Nice to see you. We got another swords card again today. Fall over from the shock of that. All right, let's get to Ace, 2, 3, 4. So this is interesting. Well, this should be fun. I want to hear what you guys think about this. All right, let me put these other ones away so I don't make such a mess. All right, here is our 4 of Swords from the Tarot of the 78 Doors. This is a Lo Scarabeo deck. It's kind of a modern take. This deck also has a lot of kind of mixed imagery, from modern to historical. It's very interesting. It's not all one time period represented. What do you think about this? Barely Balanced earlier said, Brenda answered my question by telling me about returning knights. What's our isolation lesson? Reflect on our lives like a knight returning from battle and gratitude. Ooh, skipping ahead to answer that question. Elizabeth said, we learn of each other, Jen. We see different things in the cards. That's why I love Playdate. See, me too. First thing we notice here is this guy is blind. Simon, why have I never seen this deck? You have. I've shown it, and there's one reason that I still struggle to work with this deck, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody. So we'll stay focused on the 4 of Swords for right now. So Corbin says, I don't love using disabled people as metaphors. That's fair. Ella's not sure that she likes this. Sue is saying, okay, maybe this is saying, we don't see options. Maybe using different senses is psychically yours. Time to use your sense as you move forward, says Wendy. Jamie says, meh. So Selkie does not understand this card. I'm not entirely sure I fully understand it as it's represented here either. Now, I'm not sure if the book, Simon says, I can't connect this card to the RWS 4 of Swords. That's exactly the trouble that I'm having. So I just put this away. But let's see if the little white book in here, and I'm sorry, I'll pull it back out. I just can't with the one hand. Neem says, when I see Four of Swords, I think of sitting in the grass in a park. Sitting upright, you're taking in your surroundings. Laying back and looking to the sky, you're merging with your surroundings. Julie says, I don't get how this depicts respite or rest at all. I don't get it. Meh. Nobody is loving this card. Corbin says, I think the card is trying to say that there's something in our lives we're blind to, but like I said, I don't like this way of doing that, right? Because, and I get why you're saying that, because, you know, just because this person can't literally see doesn't mean that they are blind to things, right? I think representing that with a blindfold or something that can be removed is oftentimes a much better way to do that. Let's see what this book says, if it says anything helpful. So as you know, with these low Scarabeo decks, they like to put it in all kinds of different languages, but I think I found English. Okay, so here's what this one says. It says inner concentration that could be mistaken for indifference or emotional aridity. Okay, so Sue said he can't find the door, i.e. a door to another opportunity. Essence says he's blind, he's using a walking stick, he's moving past a door. Nope, don't get it. Nobody is getting it. Let's see. What did you see? Why does this card seem more like the Fool? Asked Lucian. Can we trade this card for another? Oh, usually we get somebody who can find something. Nothing? Do we have nothing from this card? Do I need to pull this deck out of Tarot Playdate rotation? White Tree Tarot, he can't find the way out if he doesn't use his other senses, but I'll agree, I don't like the way it is pictured. All right, I wouldn't normally do this, but I think we have a pretty strong consensus here that this card is not doing it for us today. So you know what? I'm going to go with flow. Yes, I am. I'm not too rigid in my structure. I can do this. I am putting it away. And yeah, this deck, I may not keep this deck, actually. I mean, it's just, I bought it on a whim because I was at a local shop. All right, so here's what we do. We grab another deck and we hope for the best. Tarot deck for Playdate. Let's see here. I don't know how to make it just choose one name right now, though. Add, edit names. All right, we're just going to see which ones we haven't used yet, and I'm just going to pick one that's close by. Deviant Moon it is. Okay. That's going to be our replacement. All right. Val says, Jen, I'm glad you're not rigid in your approach. Loracle says, glad we are moving on. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know. So I have another issue with that deck, Simon, and one of those issues was that it looked to me like it switched the 8 and 9 of Swords, and if it's making people uncomfortable, then I don't really want to keep showing that. So I appreciate you speaking up. Thank you all very much. This is a safe space. You're allowed to do that. All right, barely balanced. It's my first play date. I jinxed it. No, you did not. Oh, wait, this is not the 8 of Swords. This is not that card. We are going to do the 4 of Swords. Okay, so a swap out for the Deviant Moon leads us to this card. Yeah, it's that one, Simon, the one with the 8 and 9 switched. I need to pull it out of rotation. I'm never going to work with it, in all honesty. All right, so we have our crescent moon up there. We have the 3 swords in the ground, this figure resting, maybe, holding a rose. This other sword down here. What do you think? Oh, way to balance the 4 of Swords rigidity by going against the grain and changing plans. Yes. All right, we have a much better response to this particular 4 of Swords. So yay, Playdaters. Okay, let's see if I missed anything. Yeah, everybody was in agreement with moving on. The book was not helpful, Julie. All right, so what do you think about this? What grabs your eye first when we see this particular 4 of Swords? Mindy says, I never would have thought I would like a Deviant Moon card over another deck. The tarot will surprise you. Naomi says, I feel like this person is underground resting. Loracle says, I'm drawn to the flowers. Bastet, I love the little things around the head. Illumination. Simon says, it's interesting that the 4th sword, the one we have worked on, is the one that we rely on. Well, that's true, right? Because the lessons that we've learned and the things that and the knowledge that we've gained, we would be dependent on that, wouldn't we? Psychically yours. She's deep in her subconscious or maybe getting away from the world. Emily, welcome. Oh, you just missed a debacle of a card. So, but we've set things to rights here. White Tree Tarot says roses, so bright and alive. Elle says regenerating, repurposing, germination, nourishment. Looks like the pain of the Three of Swords. The person gave up, says Wendy. See, I guess I don't see that because I feel like I feel like there's such like a calm look on the face, even though that's kind of two faces, right? It doesn't look like angst to me, but maybe somebody else sees something different than that. Barely Balanced at Jen, if convenient, could you read the DM description from the little white book? Always find his little interpretation so insightful after everyone points out stuff. I don't think I have the little white book. This was actually a gift from Simon when I visited him in Nottingham. And so I just have the deck, but I do have the big book on my wish list because I think really diving into that will help me connect with this deck even more. But if somebody has some information and wants to plop it in the chat, that would be wonderful. Naomi sees peacefulness and healing, a very restful pose, says Patrice. Elizabeth, this person is resting hand over hand and the feet resting in comfort. So we seem to have a lot of like perception of rest, whereas this seems to indicate something more mortal and a little bit colder. I see more warmth in this card. Not something I would have thought I would say about the Deviant Moon either, now that I think about it, but I do see more warmth in this version of the card. Jamie sees this as restoration. Emily says, I think it looks calm and centered. I can almost feel the coolness of the earth. Barely Balanced. I see rest and healing, but their ideas are alive like little seeds waiting to sprout. Yes. Patrice, looks like she's going deep within. In the book, it says she's buried with her sword, so she is underground here. Interesting. Any reason why? Is she coming back up? I don't know. Sue says, isn't leaning on the sword painful? I guess I look at this as if I'm looking down on her, so this looks like it to me, it's resting on her as she's laying back. But that's interesting that you see it as leaning. I'm not sure I would have seen that if you hadn't said that. Removing ourselves from the confusion by seeking clarity, says Jonathan. Basta says it looks like she put down her sword and give it a rest, not fighting the three swords, just letting them rest next to her. Did I pronounce it correctly, Simon? Yay me. I'm afraid to say it again in case I say it wrong now. It's like I'll jinx myself. Tiny Dancer says there is no rest in this card. Sorry, sword by her side. Emily says, I received this card after the Seven of Pentacles in a reading, and it was literally like a story for me. I love the roses. Reincarnation, says Selkie. Simon says she's taking an eternal rest. Shane says, funny to me, the Deviant Moon looks like they're buried 6 feet under, aka dead. But then again, this may be because I don't really jive with this deck. You say that now, Shane. Give it a year. Carmen, she's meditating in total isolation, so she's not disturbed. It's giving ourselves a chance to fill up our own cup. L, head in the sand or whole body. Essence, the girl in the ground is dreaming again. Her visions illuminate the tomb and keep 4 roses in bloom. Simon, or Shane, you better be careful. Simon might disown you. Yeah, exactly. Essence, 2 swords are plunged into the earth to mark her place of sleep. A 4th sword lies buried beside her. Emily, and whatever goes on up above the ground doesn't matter now because there is a chance to rest and recoup. Yes. Oh, Essence was reading from the little white book, the 2 swords plunged into the earth to mark her place of sleep. That's very interesting. So anybody want to dive anything into this? But we do have a question to answer with it. Tiny Dancer said, no, this card means you have now entered the echo chamber of this mind, or of the mind. Aw, Simon's feeling hurt, Shane. You're going to have to fix this. Jonathan, after the heart-aching pain of the 3 of Swords, we are offered respite in the 4. Yes, yes, yes. No fear of missing out, says Emily. Mindy says, this is the one time I'm going to tell you not to listen to your mother, Shane. It's okay to not like the Deviant Moon. You won't be bullied. I am not telling Shane he has to like the Deviant Moon. But tastes do change. Simon knows I'm still on the fence with this one too, but I'm giving it a good shot. Plus, it was a gift. All right, so beyond opinions of the Deviant Moon, let's see if we can answer our first question, which was from Bastet this week. Today, the first question: what cycle do we need to change? What needs to end? Oh, I feel like this one is so easy to answer with this card, right? We need to lay our swords down. You know, we've been through some hard times. We've had conflict. We've had significant things that have made us feel like we've had to fight for certain things. And now it's just time to take that respite, right? But I don't know. What do you think? Tell me your thoughts. How do we answer Bastet's question? Gracia says, perfect card for that question. Patrice says, just wait, Shane. Deviant Moon may call to you one day. You just never know. I swore and swore and swore I was not going to get the Shadowland Tarot. And it's like, you can't see it because it's behind. It's right there behind my chair. So, no fighting for me this week, says Bastet. Yes, you get to take a rest. If you've been feeling like you've had to fight, you get to take a rest. Wendy says, time to give up the fight for a while. Emily, the question was, what cycle do we need to change? What needs to end? And I feel like it's really simply to just lay down our swords and rest. Let's see, what else do we have here, though? Rest from strife, said White Tree Tarot. Does anybody have any kind of other types of answers to this question? Tiny Dancer, kill, death, doom, destruction, plot plan. Oh, Tiny Dancer's in a roll today. Not putting down your sword, are you? Let's see. Oh, hi, Chris Kelly. Nice to see you. Don't run yourself into the ground, says Jackie, right? So be careful of wearing yourself out so much that you need to end up in the ground. That's an interesting way of looking at this. Jonathan says the strife is not gone, but you get a moment to not worry about them. Julie says the sword is in a precarious position. Yes, it is. Let's see. I haven't got the Deviant Moon, but I like this card, says Naomi. Wendy, time for the COVID to die off and allow us to recover. Oh, wouldn't that be lovely? Emily says, rest. I've had such lessons about leaning into the feminine and just being. The receptive passive energy of not having to understand everything in depth and just allowing. Brenda, allow more time before making a decision. Meditation may provide answers. Shane says, the one thing I do see and like about this, it looks like that sword is easily picked back up and ready to wield when the rest is over, right? It's close at hand. It's a very interesting way of looking at this. All right, I don't know if we lost Corbin because I know that they did not like the previous card, but hopefully this one has been better. Okay, oh, Elle says, recover those spoons so you're ready to tackle stuff. Yes, Elle. Fairly balanced to every season, turn, turn, turn. A time to reap, a time to sow. Ah, good, you're still here. I hope you like this one better. I know you said you were working on your project there. Okay, so let's go ahead. That was a good alternative card for that, I think. So good call, folks. Y'all know what you're doing here. All right, so let me put this one away. And our next one, who knows what it's going to be, is from a collaboration deck. The 78 Tarot Elemental shiny box. So I don't know which artist got this card, but 78 different artists created the cards in this deck. All right, 3 of air. So the suit is air because of the elements instead of swords. Ooh, pretty card. All right, Sue's going to go back to grass cutting, but we'll be listening. All right, good luck with your yard chores. Simon said earlier, regrowth is coming, the roots sprouting from the skull in this. Oh, I like that. Okay, here is our 4 of Swords from the 78 Tarot Elementary. And the artist here is Felicia Cano. I'll pull this up really close so you can see it in case I'm pronouncing that wrong. I love the colors in this card. Come on, focus. Oh, there's the 3 swords. If it would focus, you could see those 3 swords hanging there. Let me see if I can get it to focus. There we go. Oh, look at that guy laying on the winged horse with the sword down here. The 3 swords in the trees. Oh, look, The birdie's up here. There's that. Yeah, this card, there's a lot going on in there. Mandy says, that's beautiful. I had this deck but gave it away. It can be hard to read with, right? When you have so many different artists with the deck. Emily says, the comfort of the weight of the bird. Jen says, beautiful card. So how do we think this kind of depicts the meaning of this card for us? Does it do something different? I really like the idea here that this winged horse or Pegasus or whatever you want to call it is supporting this this figure, this person who seems very battle worn and very tired. It's like he got flown away from danger and now is just resting. It's like, okay, I'm gonna hang my swords up here, drop my sword on the ground as I lay down and just rest, but he's somewhat protected here. Emily says, it feels very nurturing. Pegasus, not just any wing. I know, Shane. I don't know. I'm just describing what I see. Napping, beautiful, says Susie. Naomi, supporting and protecting. Robin, looks like a griffin. Is that a griffin? I don't think so, because don't griffins have, although, you know what? Well, look at the back feet. That's not horse. Well, I don't know. I still think it's a Pegasus, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe somebody else sees something different. Jilly doesn't like it. Emily says, it's like the animal version of those mattresses that mold themselves to your form to support the person fully. Patrice, the three swords in this card make me think of thoughts or solutions that are waiting will become available once rest is over. Bassett says, now this is a healing space. Essence, it's Pegasus, pulled out the book. Right? I knew it was called Pegasus. I just had a moment, I swear. Oh, not a griffin. That's right. Okay, because we were looking at that. Oh, a griffin is a bird, right? Okay. White Tree Tarot says, this gives me truce vibes. There's still 3 swords above their heads, but those swords seem to be stuck for now. Bye, Wendy. Thank you for being here. Shane says, a griffin has the back body of a horse, but the head and forelegs of the eagle. Okay, that's right. That's right. Bassett says the tree is protecting them from the swords, right? So there does seem to be a lot of protection. And so this is a little bit different because, you know, here we're encased in a tomb, right? And then here we're under the ground, but here now we're above ground and resting above ground. So does that change the meaning of the card for you in any way? I could actually pull out the book and kind of read it for everybody here, because I do think that they've had some good stuff in here. So Queen Knight, 4 of Air. The artist's interpretation. The classic image is a knight on his tomb. Oh, on his tomb with, oh, they're talking about the classic image. You know, if I could read and understand at the same time, that'd be good. The classic image is a knight on his tomb with 3 swords above him and 1 beside him. I wanted to stay true to the peacefulness of that image, but needed to find a way to incorporate the element of air. I chose a resting Pegasus with her rider under a tree with his sword on the ground. The position of the swords in the tree suggests that they too fell from the sky. In the classic image, there is a stained glass of a woman and child. I show that here with a bird feeding its babies in their nest. It is my hope that I have succeeded in staying true to the original theme while weaving in the element of air to my reinterpreted image. I like that. I think this is a really beautiful card. Okay, so I'm going to see what you all have been saying while I was reading this. The tree is protecting them from the swords. Carmen said, giving him thanks for rescuing him. Barely balances. I almost get a sense that the Pegasus is needing the rest and the man is being protective of him. Oh, that's a great way of looking at that. Essence says, the bird feeding the baby birds in the tree is the RW. Yes. Oh, yeah, you were reading the book too then. Thank you for that. Resting under the swords, really? I mean, I don't know. I'd be a little concerned they'd fall out of the tree, but that's just me. Let's see. Essence. Oh, wait. The 3 swords hanging above echoes the RWS as well, with the sword below. Laurel Cole says, I love depictions of the 4 swords in nature. For me, it is the most relaxing, restful, and meditative place to be. Yes. Fellow monster nerds. We have people bonding over that. All right. So our second question this week was from Simon. How can we achieve full joy this week? So how do you want to answer that? So when I look at this card and think, how do we want to achieve full joy? You know, I'm kind of thinking back to what Jonathan was saying earlier about kind of, you know, these soldiers like reflecting, right? So being able to rest, sit back, step out of the fray, and reflect on the things that we have to be grateful for, to be grateful for the life that we have, right? It's not always easy, but we're here. And that is something really huge to find joy in, I think, even when sometimes it feels like it's a bit of a slog or a bit of a struggle. So that's kind of what comes to mind for me first, but I'd love to see what you say. Corbin says, take time for relaxation and rest and reflection. Yes. Write the manifesto, says Tiny Dancer. Through self-care, says Christina. Ooh, I like that. Emily, being with like-minded souls and holding space for one another. White Tree Tarot, maybe by letting ourselves to be protected. Find some place or person where we feel protected and safe, right? So find those areas where we can feel safe so we can allow the joy to happen. Barely Balanced, full joy, rest safe in community with others in nature. Lottie says, this isn't a time to strive. Allow the joy to happen rather than trying hard to manifest it, which is very conflicting for me with the new moon energy I was trying to embrace this week, but I get what you're saying. Jonathan, Four of Swords may advise that you sleep on it before making a decision. Yeah, or before doing anything rash, right? Bastet says, enjoy nature and let it heal you. It's there if we just take ourselves a little rest from pure, busy, everyday life. Essence says, don't underestimate the strength of a tree. Look like those three swords are very secure. Being in nature, you rely on nature to protect you. Those three swords look pretty secure in the branches. That's true. They look pretty embedded in there. Switch off, said Elle. Just turn it off. Take a break. Turn our brains off, right? Especially with the swords, like try and quiet the busyness of what can happen in our head. Because sometimes we can talk ourselves out of being happy or out of being joyful. All right, Simon, did we answer your question? I hope we did. If you have any other thoughts, if not, I'll go ahead and move us on to our next card. Barely Balanced, rooted, grounded, safe, listen to the birds. I mean, if so, I didn't mean if not. Emily, sometimes the lessons are revealed in ways you would never imagine if you just allow the experience to happen. Jonathan, you may need to put something to rest and end an argument or a dilemma. Ooh, that's true. And then there's joy after, but having to do that isn't always the easiest, is it? Simon said, we did, as always. Documentation for self-protection, Simon, says Tiny Dancer. All right. So next deck, what do I want to do here? Let's do this one. So this time I have another collaborative deck, the Fateshifters Tarot, but this one usually stays really, really closely aligned with the original RWS. But now that I've said that, it'll probably prove me wrong because that's just how things go. Let's see what we've got in here. Okay, so this one's going to take us back the classic route here. So in the Fateshifters Tarot, here is the gorgeous Four of Swords. So here the stained glass, I find, is a lot easier to see kind of the image of the mother and the child. Look at all the beautiful background behind those swords. Now that's interesting. What do we have there? Is that just decorative elements? Yeah, I think this is really beautiful. So this kind of brings us back to our classic RWS image, but the Pax is missing, says Jonathan, which I've still got to like, I'm going to find it. That is my homework for Tarot Playdate after this. I don't know. Oh, what's happening with the conversation there? That cold tomb is pretty fancy. It feels a little less cold, doesn't it? With all that shiny gold. I mean, that's not such a terrible place to be resting, right? If you have to rest in a tomb, I'm just saying. Susie went to Han Solo. Are you like when he gets frozen to be handed over to Jabba the Hutt? That one. Essence says it's beautiful, but this one, the knight looks more like a statue. Oh, that's interesting. I guess I can see that. You know what? I feel like there's more, the armor on this is much more pronounced. So if we kind of look at this, right, this feels much more armored when you look at that, which I also find kind of interesting. But we still have our hands in that position versus this one where it's more of a soft armor, if that one makes any sense. So Mindy, this is the Fateshifters Tarot. It's kind of a random one. I don't see people talk about it a lot. I know Simon and I got it. I think we actually like did videos like either the same day or within a day of each other, but I haven't seen this one a lot out there. Sean says, pondering the safe memories of being a child with his mother. If you plunge your sword into water while hot, you can put out the flame, says Tiny Dancer. Beth, yes, Han Solo. Oh, he couldn't see for a while. Oh, that's interesting. Jen says he looks extremely protected and guarded. Hands in prayer, now lay me down to sleep, says Robin. Jonathan, I might have to get this deck. So you can see full walkthroughs of it on Simon or my channel. I know that for sure. Let's see. Okay, so this one definitely feels more, oh, Elle. I know what your little brain is doing. So our third question, how appropriate, is from our dear Elle. What's Shane say here? There's a light to this card. Through the stained glass and onto the golden crypt that makes it shine. The sword also has a fresh wrapped hilt, right? Good point. Good observation there. Focus. Maybe. You get the idea. Emily says the blades look interesting, like they're spiraling to points. Yeah, it almost looked like they were twisting, but I think a lot of that is shadows. Let's see. Come on. There we go. But I know what you're saying because I felt like it was looked like that with all those blades. All right, so from Elle, our third question was, where have I or we allowed an excess of emotional baggage this week? So it's really interesting when we ask a question about emotions and we are answering that with a swords/air card. So how do we think we would answer this? So where have I or we allowed an excess of emotional baggage this week? I need to think on this. So I'm going to be watching the chat for your amazing, brilliant answers that you always give. And let's see. And Elle's like, The first thing that kind of hit me, and I'm still thinking this through, it's almost like maybe it's just been wearing and tiring. And so maybe it's just in general, there has been an excess of emotional baggage, and now it has kind of tuckered you out and now you need to rest. We have some thoughts coming in here. Emily said, thinking on the pain of something and the trauma, perhaps. I like that. Rumination, asked Elle, yes. In our thoughts and not taking time to relax. So getting caught up in thoughts about those things that you've been feeling. Jonathan says we're putting our problems on hold, hanging them on the wall and putting them off for the moment. And Bassett says, might the stained glass in the background be a hint for this answer? The mother with the child. See, now we're getting, remembering to look past the obvious meaning of the card and look at what else it presents here. That's a great observation there, Bassett. It feels like it's very hard to process these emotions, says Emily, and we actually need to rest and wait for things to be clearer. Essence, literal sense, all that gold depicted, you are aware of what is weighing you down. And Bassett just blew Elle's mind. So we think, where have I allowed the excess of emotional baggage this week? And maybe it's here in this stained glass. So taking a moment to reflect on that may get you over that hump if that's something that's causing you to be stuck at the moment. That was really good. Barely Balanced says you are safe now, survived the trauma. You can now safely reflect on the painful memories and put them to rest because you are safe now. I love that. Susie says contemplating, relax or don't do it. Yeah, that was good though. I feel like Bastet just put a pin in that one for us. And Barely Balanced, I love that too. And these are all great, so please don't think that if I'm not calling you out, they're not great. That's really good. White Tree Tarot, compromise and peace is achieved, but some deep resentments are still there. All right. Elle's pretty happy with those answers. And then Jen says, could be stuck because you've chosen not to deal with emotions, right? So stepping away from them, letting our thoughts, letting those extra swords keep us from getting to getting to those emotions. All right, moving on. We have 2 more decks here. So we're going to go a different direction. This will probably be a little bit different. I have the Baba Studio Victorian Romantic. I love this deck so much. Backs of this deck. So let's see what our 4 of Swords has to say here. So it's just a roll. This is going to be a quiet one. This one's subtle. Okay, here's our 4 of Swords. I'm sorry, Emily. I know it is out of print. This was the 3rd edition that I got. All right, so we see swords on the bed, but all 4 swords on the bed. No swords above is sort of the first thing that sort of grabs my attention here. And this person does not look dead to me. They definitely look like they're just resting or sleeping. The 4 of Swords represent neutrality, staying out of the crossfire, refusing to be part of a problem, and playing dead to the issue. Yes, Jonathan. Yes, now I'm just paying you back for the fairy tale tarot video. Yes, Mindy. I still can't decide what I want to do about that. So, I mean, this is the Baba Studios Victorian Romantic. Yep. Bassett says this has a Sleeping Beauty kind of vibe here. Emily, she looks like she's in a very engaging but not necessarily pleasant dream. Susie's noticing the light maybe coming through the window there. Barely balanced. Ooh, clever. The 3 points above the head echoed the points of the 3 hanging swords in the RWS. Okay, so let's see here. 3 points. Like up here? Is that what you mean? I keep getting like distracted by this. Is this just like a bit of fur on the blanket or the quilt? And look at like that bejeweled headpiece. So interesting. It's really pretty. All right, we have other people who see, yeah, the first stole caught my attention. That's exactly what I was saying. It's like this kept grabbing me. I'm like, what is that? Essence says, I can relate to the feeling. Eat until I'm full and just knocked out. Elle says, a cheeky midday nap. I like his style. Can never get enough sleep. Sometimes you can get too much sleep. So a lot of people noticing the first stole, other people noticing the points up here. Susie says she's pretty. Emily says, I don't know why, but the angle is disturbing for me. So the angle of how this person is sleeping or of the card overall. Robin says, heavy lies the head that wears the crown. Emily says, like we're watching her. Oh, so does this feel a bit voyeuristic for you then? So what do we think about, I don't know. So to me, I guess this is true too in like this card here. I feel like there's a lot of opulence in the card, right? And kind of almost with that, maybe burdens that come from having to be responsible for so much. And sometimes you just have to lay down and rest because you're carrying a lot. Even though you might be grateful for all those things that you have, and you may have a lot, you still need sometimes to be able to take time to rest, reflect, appreciate, be grateful, all of those things. Let's see what else. Essence says, is her bed a hard bed? Doesn't look like a comfy bed, but she's sure looking comfy. Now she's just like tuckered out. Corbin says, I almost selected this deck to work with this month. I know, I keep wanting to reach for it again too, but then I keep getting new decks into my collection. I'm like, oh, but I got to work with those. Neem says, resting easy in the midst of uncomfort or discomfort. Yep. White Tree Tarot, I didn't think of this before, but it looks like someone put a coat over her legs to keep her warm. That protection theme again. So kind of bringing back maybe what we saw here, right? That's interesting observation. I like that. Elle says, royal blue, being able to rest is a luxury. Oh, very true. It looks like we, the spectator, could be upsetting her slumber or haunting her, says Emily. Patrice said her face is turned away from the light.
Jonathan, the reason knights slept in their tombs when back from war is because it was very expensive to have your own tomb, and you might as well enjoy it while still alive. Oh, that's a good point, right? You pay all this money for something that you can't even appreciate until after you're dead and you don't know, right? Or assuming they don't know. There could be, who knows, right? So let's see if we can answer our fourth question. This one was from Robin. How can I or we best communicate my true intentions or our true intentions? So, I mean, the swords is often about communication, right? So how can we best communicate our true intentions? Now, somebody said something earlier when we were answering a different question about taking a moment to pause and reflect, maybe before continuing. So maybe it's taking a moment to pause and reflect before we try to communicate, making sure that we've gathered our thoughts, that we've taken the time to rest, especially if something hits you kind of hard and you want to react very quickly. It's pausing, reflecting, and then speaking or communicating in whatever form of communication you're going to do. So that's my attempt to answer this, but I'd love to see what you all think. Tiny Dancer said, no way, she just came in after seeing The King with the Help, and then she took those sleeping pills. Oh, Tiny Dancer, sometimes you get on a roll. Barely Balanced says, enjoy it while it's still alive. I like that. The night stories keep sparking my imagination. I like that you're bringing those to us, though. I appreciate that. I guess you and Jonathan both. Susie says, dreamscaping, question mark? Emily, oh, know thyself. Know your limits and boundaries so you're able to take that moment of pause to reflect before reacting or responding. So, Robin, are you still here? How do you think this answers your question? I'll be interested to know. Jen says, yep, agree, Jen. And taking the time to contemplate how your words and time and delivery will affect others. Robin says, communicating intentions can be frustrating and exhausting. Sometimes it's just easier to retreat. So the answer to your question then you would say would be to not communicate and just pause, put it on hold. Jonathan says the 2 and 4 of swords also represent making diplomacy. The 4 making diplomacy. The 4 signifying a walking away from the fight, while 2 symbolizes a stalemate. Oh, interesting. Oh, tone. Contemplate how your words and tone and delivery will affect others. We could have thrown timing in there too. I think that still makes sense. Regenerating, says Susie. Yes. All right. Any other thoughts on this one before we move on to our last? Oh, wait. Yes, White Tree Tarot. You can just wait to see what the other side has to offer. Maybe that will be just what you were looking for. Robin says nonverbal speaking doesn't express one's whole thoughts. Not generally, I suppose. Although a lot can be said without using any words. Emily says it does feel diplomatic in terms of being very considered with our expressions and the way we communicate with others. Right? This is not a rush into it kind of card. Quite the opposite, right? All right, we have one more deck. This one's a little bit more fun. Okay. I always make such a mess. Every week I try to get more organized. I'm going to have to come up with a system. So our last deck for the week is going to be the Steampunk Tarot. So this will be the big version of the little deck that Jamie has, Shane. Let's see what we've got here today for our 4 of Swords. Sometimes these cards can be a little dark, but hopefully you'll be able to see it okay. Let's pull in. Okay, not too deviant from the original. Jamie heard and came running. It's so cute. All right, Jamie, you have the little version of this, the little mini. Here is our 4 of Swords in the Steampunk Tarot. Lots to look at in this card, so I'll go ahead and pull it up close. Hopefully you can see it okay. I want you to see, so we do have a raven in this card, it looks like. Focus on the raven, please. So we have the man here. I really find it interesting that we have all of this clockwork down here and obviously the machinery that we often see in the steampunk style. Can we see what that says on there? What does that say on there? Is it going to be nice enough to me? I don't think it is. If anybody knows what that says. I really like this hourglass that we have here. Now his hands are in a very different shape. There we go. There's the raven there. And our 3 swords sort of hanging from that contraption up there. All right, let me see what you guys are all saying about this now. Focus, hello.
I'm here. There we go. All right, let me get caught up here. The Raven, a lot of people saw that right off the bat. Susie said, I see the sand thingy, right? What do you call that? A sand timer? What is that called? There's a word for it. The hand on the sword suggests he's not surrendering completely to rest, right? Because he's still holding on to that sword down there. Hourglass. Oh, the sand timer thingy. Thank you, Susie. You know, I know words until I get in front of a camera, and then they all go out of my head. Let's see. It doesn't look restful or comfortable at all. Jonathan, ooh, that hourglass shows that the rest is only momentary and not permanent. Yes. Love the raven in the window, says Patrice. Carries our messages. What does it say there? Pat? Yeah, I just don't know what the heck it says there. I don't know if we can. Ooh, I almost had it. Maybe it's a tease. Maybe it says nothing. I could look in the book though too. All right, I'm going to keep scrolling here. Shane says, I noticed that the rope is tied to the hourglass. When it flips, the swords may drop onto him. Oh, yeah. See, that's all connected right there. Interesting. Well, that'll wake you up real fast, won't it? White Tree Tarot. Those three swords are attached. So, see, White Tree and Shane were having the same thought at the same time. Those three swords are attached to some kind of mechanism, and he's holding his sword ready to fight it. Jamie, I really like the hourglass. Time never stops moving, even when it seems slow. Ooh, good point there, Jamie. Are the swords connected to the hourglass? So it seems. Shane says he's also wielding the sword, right? He hasn't let go of it. Barely balanced. The raven and the hourglass and the clock imagery come straight from Vanitas still life paintings. Memento mori. Remember death. Enjoy the day. Oh, can you please come to Playdate all the time? You have contributed so much great stuff. Rest too long, says Shane, and you may stop moving altogether. Time is a killer. Oh. Raven symbolizes intelligence and ability to learn quickly, says Naomi. The black and white checkers, what does that mean? I mean, it could just be the tile on the floor, or is it shades of black and white, right? What can we dive into there? Jonathan, okay, my want list keeps growing watching this. That is sometimes something that happens here at Tarot Playdate as well. Let me see if I have anything good that I can contribute from the book here on this one. This book is in a weird order. The Four of Swords, don't be misled. That is a lot harder than it looks. The core meaning, respite from troubles. We may question the wisdom of enjoying a nap while in the midst of a tricky or dangerous situation. This man, however, appears to be doing just that. A closer look at the situation may convince us that this course of action is actually an excellent choice. The circumstances or events that are set in motion, represented by the three swords hanging from the ceiling, are going to happen. The hourglass lets us know that it is just a matter of time. Because we see three swords aimed at his head and body, we assume he logically concluded that no good will come of these events. While he has imagined how the situation will play out, he has clearly not thought of a way to stop or change the course of events. Interesting. I really love that description of the imagery. Brenda's saying like maybe strategy for the tile. So if this reminds people of a chessboard, right? Bringing that strategy or strategic thinking into it. Emily says it feels a lot darker than the other images because he is limited in his time and the swords will drop, right? It's coming. Whatever it is coming. Well, when you think about the progression of the suit of swords, right? We ended up where we did last week with the 10 of swords. So this isn't necessarily an easy journey. Jackie says your past is keeping you prisoner. Recharge and get ready to get away. Jonathan, think of it like taking a vacation from work. Yes, you'll be away from the office for 2 weeks, but once the vacation ends, you will be returning to your job and headaches. And they've piled up while you've been gone. Like going on vacation is hard work. Simon and I were just talking about that the other day. All right, so let's get our fifth and final question, but don't forget we have reversals, so don't run away after this. Barely balanced. What has the world learned from a period of social isolation? Ooh, I like that. So what has the world learned from a period of social isolation? Tomorrow is World Tarot Day, Essence? Oh, fun. Okay, so how would you interpret or answer that question? Robin says this is perhaps just the beginning of the nightmare culminating in the Nine of Swords. Ooh, Lorgal, I think that gives me permission to get a new deck tomorrow if it's World Tarot Day. I mean, I kind of get what you're thinking there. So if I think about this, what has the world learned from a period of social isolation? So right now we're kind of in this eye of the storm situation, right? Where everything is isolated, but and it's for a limited time, right? So we're not all going to be in the same state forever, but everything's going to continue at some point, and these swords are going to drop, and we're going to have to continue facing a lot of the things that maybe we haven't had to face during this time. You know, Emily makes a good point that we need to look after the planet, right? So right now, even the world, like our planet, has been able to rest a little bit. But when everything starts up and everybody starts feeling more comfortable, and if we lose that mindfulness and we start polluting the air again the way that we were, right? Those things can come. So maybe we have learned that we need to be more aware of the impact that we're having. And if we take this time to reflect on that, maybe we can change and have a better outcome next time. Anyway, sorry, thoughts. Emily said planet, and then I ran with it. Okay, Tiny Dancer says, I don't want to wear a mask. Susie says, 4 more weeks to know the truth. Shane says, don't get used to standing by. Take the time to rest, but don't get too used to it. We need to be able to return to duties, remember how to interact with people, and do so wisely. Ooh, great point, Shane. I love that. Emily says she'll do what she needs to do to take care of herself. Essence, I just learned about this. Oh, wait, you guys are talking about something else, so I'm going to skip past that one. Everybody's focused on World Tarot Day. Anybody else have any thoughts on how to answer this question for Barely Balanced? Barely Balanced, how would you answer it? Jen says, for sure, Shane, it's easy to get into the habit of avoidance and or procrastination, right? So if we use this time wisely to learn the lessons we need to learn and be prepared to interact with people, it might look different, but maybe it'll be for the better and the greater good, potentially. Any other thoughts on this? It's awfully quiet in the chat. Barely Balanced. I'm soaking up the answers. Emily says, the avoidance thing is very relevant with the hourglass for sure. Essence says, time is invaluable, and if you have learned nothing else from isolation, make time for the ones you love and the things you love. One of the things that I've actually noticed during this time is I have friends all over the place, near and far, and now that we're all sort of forced to isolate, we all make a greater effort in connecting with those people that we wouldn't normally connect with. And I think sometimes it's easy to get caught up in your kind of circle that's really close to you. But now that we have to connect to everybody sort of the same way, often virtually, now we're making time to reach out to those people who maybe we haven't given enough time and attention to. So that's been something that's been really interesting to me. I feel like my friendships are a lot more balanced across the board. Let's see, what else? More restrictions to come. Slippery slopes is Tiny Dancer. Robin says the mechanism needs to take its course and we must be patient about the process. Jonathan, sorry, I was working with my son because he just woke up. Oh, that's okay. My family acknowledged that we celebrated each other more in the last 3 months than we have in the last 20 years, right? Like, I get that. Barely Balanced says it definitely speaks to me of time and making the most of it, but you also have to make time or take time to time out and rest. It needs to be conscious, right? And chosen, which I think a lot of times too, if we apply our intellect to this, right? All right. So let's talk about, for those of you who read reversals, or when you find this card in a spread position that might represent blocking or inhibiting energy or something else, what does this mean to you when this is upside down, right? Or reversed or blocked or whatnot? You know, maybe to me, I would say that while the rest is happening, perhaps the reflection isn't, right? We're not taking the positives that we can from this period of downtime. And maybe it's more abiding of time, but not learning the lessons that need to be learned. Let's see. Corbin says, you've been inactive, stagnant for too long. It's time for action. So maybe you've been in this place for way too long. Yes. Oh, I like that. Susie says the swords are staggered, so go in steps to the last card. Oh, that's interesting. Jonathan says, since I've been forced into being a stay-at-home parent, homeschooling my 6-year-old son, I chose to homeschool myself with it. Oh, you're talking, oh, Ethany's Tarot Summer School. Robin says, I see sword salute honoring the dead. Memorial Day? Oh, now that's kind of interesting. Jen says, like many of the swords, I feel he could fall onto those swords, thoughts to spiral as opposed to resting and contemplating them, right? Losing control of those thoughts. Shane, I imagine the figure swinging down, superhero landing, grabbing those swords and going to battle. Oh, that's an interesting take on that. Naomi, taking a firm position in a conflict. So that's kind of almost what Shane was just saying. Emily, it's getting too deep introspectively and you need to leave the bubble to be with others and experience life, right? So if you stay in this contemplation place too long, you know, what happens when the sand runs out and you're just still sitting there? Nothing. I mean, he looks like he's diving in between two of the swords, trying to avoid things. Oh, like right through here. You've overslept your alarm. Time to wake up, says Corbin. Yeah, you've been sleeping and resting too long. Elle, it's time to wake up. You just crushed another. Ooh, not good. Very indulgent, says Emily. Right? So maybe this is more like, ooh, feel sorry for myself kind of rest rather than that taking that time to consciously reflect on our own actions and what we're putting out into the world and then taking that forward. Chris Kelly, for me, it's wake up. You aren't going to get any more value from resting. Your subconscious has done what it can to work through what it can. The only thing for it to do now is to get shit done. Yes. Jonathan says, the Four of Swords reverse can show a short-lived rest, a vacation cut short, a nap interrupted, or not having the sick time from work you need to recover. Oh, true, right? So not getting, so some of us have been talking about maybe taking too much time to rest, but also this could mean not having enough time to rest. Always so much you can do with the tarot, right, folks? All right, so let's talk about our activity for the week. So I will first read the alternate activities that we came up with because I think people have tended to like those better. We are still, I'm still always interested if somebody is using the tarot playbook. I'll be the activity pages in here, but if you're still using this, sometimes they're good. I remember the very first week, Kelly Bear did this really cool VR like live stream to it. So there can be some good stuff in here. Uh-oh, somebody, uh-oh, my magician activity is gone. Uh-oh, that's not good. Elle, did you delete the magician activity? We might have a problem. That's okay. I can deal with that later. Four of Swords. All right, so our activity for this week, and I will, don't worry about frantically writing this down because I will paste this in the description box of this video. I will also post it in the Tarot Playdate Facebook group. If you haven't joined there, Elle usually is pretty good about posting a link for me. We'd love to see you in there to continue the discussion, to share your cards. If you have Four of Swords that you want to show, you want to show the results of participating in the activities, or just anything that happens throughout the week that reminds you of the cards that we've covered, whether it's this week or one of our previous cards. All right, so this week, mindful assessment. Oh, this is another owl-created activity. So think about a situation with which you might need some guidance, but tend to be either too emotional or rational when thinking about it. Use this spread to assess the situation in a mindful way based on the wise mind principle. So four cards in this spread. The first one is the situation. The second one, what action must I take in order to step away from being too ruled by reasonable mind? The third spread, what action must I take in order to step away from being too ruled by emotional mind? And then the fourth position is how can I bring both emotional and reasonable mind together in order to achieve wise mind in the situation? I love that. It's like all about the balance, right? So that is a great one. Thank you, Elle. So that's a very cool activity. Then if you do like to play with the playbook, let's see. So the Four of Swords is on page 116, and it's called Behind Closed Doors. And it says, so, oh, it's more about connecting with court cards. We know that's hard. So you think you know each court. Well, think again. So far, they've only let you see what they want you to see. If you want true intimacy, you need to see them at their most vulnerable, and you need to enter their most private, sacred space. But beware. Once you've seen the King of Pentacles in a romper suit, it's almost impossible to erase it from your memory. And then there's a whole activity related to that. Sometimes I never know where this is going after looking at the book. That's for darn sure. All right, so before we go, just a reminder for those who weren't here at the beginning, next week is Tarot-thon, so there will be no tarot play date next week because I will be participating in Tarot-thon. My slot will be at 1 p.m. Pacific time, but do check out, there are posts to the what do we call it? The agenda, the list of channels. Simon has a video. I have a video. A lot of the people participating have videos. I think Jen Science to Soul. Did you post it on your channel, Jen? And anybody else? It's going to be itinerary. Thank you. Thank you for that word. 24 great channels, starting and ending with Simon at the Hermit's Cave. And so I really hope to see you there with lots of coffee in hand. I'm going to try and participate in as many as I can because I think that will be a lot of fun. So we will see you back here in 2 weeks for a tarot play date. Once again, thanks to everyone who participated today. Thank you to the mods. I don't think we had any trolls today, so that was really nice. For those of you who were new and really participated, it was a lot of fun. And to those of you who just listen and hang back and support Tarot Playdate, I really appreciate all of you as well. And if you're watching the replay, same. Put your comments in the down below if you have some additional thoughts that maybe we didn't cover here today. All right, everyone, I'm going to send you on the rest of your day, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and I look forward to hearing how you embrace the Four of Swords this week. And I'll see you next week at Tarot-thon, week after Playdate. Sending lots and lots of love, as always. Bye, everyone.